like it's the first time we've seen Cap be a little selfish.
In this film, where we find him is how much of him is the same or new, or just an entirely different person merging of what you've seen so far.
This is like my dream since I was 6 years old, to see all these characters on screen together in a moment like this, and it's pretty amazing.
And so we were basically hanging out there for a few months, not knowing if we would ever get the character, but thank goodness.
I felt like this was a great carryover from Avengers,
but also at the same time, we have very different styles.
I'm sorry, Tony. You know I wouldn't do this if I had any other choice. But he's my friend. So was I.
漫威宇宙再度开战，超级英雄开启新篇对决。5月6日，漫威新作《美国队长3》同步北美登陆中国内地院线。片中，美国队长、钢铁侠反目成仇，复仇者联盟分化2大阵营。黑寡妇、冬兵、红女巫、鹰眼全体出动，各展独门绝技。蚁人、蜘蛛侠、猎鹰、黑豹、新丁参战，助燃内战硝烟。大战在即，影片导演罗素兄弟携美队克里斯·埃文斯、冬兵塞巴斯蒂安·斯坦等一众主演，在中美两地接受了时光网的独家专访，回顾新片拍摄过程，提前分享了此次英雄内战的7大看点。
I think there's been a lot of change and growth. I mean, it's been tricky because you have a guy who's very selfless and he's very magnanimous, and he's the biggest guy in the room, emotionally and in terms of maturity. So it's hard to find darkness. It's hard to find conflict, and I think with this film they did a good job of instead of taking a guy who always does what everybody needs, he kind of did in this film what he wants, and that's kind of a departure for him, and I think it reads on film. I think it looks like it's the first time we've seen Cap be a little selfish.
We need to be put in check. Whatever form that takes, I'm game. I'm sorry, Tony. If I see a situation pointed south, I can't ignore it. Sometimes I wish I could. Sometimes I want to punch you in your perfect teeth.
I think what makes Steve Rogers a great character is that he does get emotional. I mean, you have this guy, he's a very austere military man, and he's very binary. Things are black and white to him. And if he doesn't have an emotional side, then he's just, your scary friend's dad or something like that. Like the fact that he is emotional to things, the fact that he feels things and shows it, the fact that things affect him, is what makes him human. Otherwise, you have a very boring character. You have that guy that you were just scared to talk to all the time because you don't know what he's thinking. And, he can be strict and noble and selfless and all those great qualities, but he'll be vanilla unless he's affected. Seb and I have known each other for a long time now. We've been doing this for almost 7 years. So it's old hat now, and there's certainly a comfort level. And I think my relationship, Steve's relationship with Bucky is my favorite, in the Marvel universe that I've been able to convey. So anytime we get to kind of color in those moments, given all that we've gone through, it's the most rewarding as an actor, and I think it's the most rewarding for Steve. Aside from the fact that they have history together, obviously they grew up as friends in Brooklyn, so they have a past. But I think they both lost quite a bit. I think they both feel out of place. I think they both feel lonely more often than not, confused. I think there's been a lot of similar life experiences, even though we've both kind of been in different parts of the world for the last 70 years. I think we're both kind of missing a piece of our hearts, and I think to try and find a piece of that friendship from the 1940s is worth the fight and the struggle and the conflict that both of us endure.
This job, we try to save as many people as we can. Sometimes that doesn't mean everybody. you don't give up.
You know, they have this thing in common, which is that they're both men out of time. You know, they're thrown into this whole different world and without anything to connect to in their past, and so except for each other. And so, and they also, you know, he's going through a lot of survivor's guilt, and my character's dealing with everything he's done, so to speak, in the last few years or whatever decades that he's been brainwashed. So, in a way that they're very similar.
Well, it's funny. I think if you look at Sam, he just really does not understand why we're helping Bucky. Like, we just need to get rid of Bucky because he's a nuisance and a bad person. But you know, the reality of it is Bucky and Steve have a bond and a kindred spirit that they've had since they were kids. And Sam understands and appreciates that. That's why he always goes with Cap to help Bucky.